Good afternoon. My name is Courtney Walker. I'm the Stormwater Program Manager for Douglas County, and I apologize for not being able to be there in person today. However, it is spring break down here in Douglas County schools, so we are going somewhere where spring is a little more prevalent than it is in our area. I'm here this afternoon to discuss the Westwood neighborhood and Douglas High School non-point source pollution outreach and LID, low impact development, implementation project that I have been working on collaboratively with Douglas County, River Wranglers, and the Carson Water Subconservancy District. It's been a very cool project. I've spoken about it before. There's 4 main tasks that are involved in it. However, I really want to focus mostly on the LID implementation project that we recently completed this last fall at Douglas High School in conjunction with a couple different classes and the students, and then Douglas County stormwater maintenance staff also participated in the project. So I'm really excited to go through what that all entailed. So to orient you, the project takes place in the Minden area of Douglas County. You can see Highway 88 and where it intersects with Highway 395 is about where the high school is located, and that's Douglas High School. And there's also a residential neighborhood adjacent to the school called the Westwood neighborhood. And there's a little bit of commercial properties in the area as well. And all the storm drain systems connect and then ultimately discharge directly to the East Fork of the Carson River. The issue that we have seen in this particular area of the East Fork of the Carson River is a pretty prevalent algae bloom that has persisted for many years. We've been looking into the land uses nearby to see if that might be a contributing factor to the algae bloom in that area. As I mentioned before, we know there's residential land use, there is the high school, there's commercial properties, some open space from agriculture, and wastewater treatment plant is also nearby. The storm drain discharges directly to the river without treatment, which is pretty standard practice. And we also know that maintenance practices of the storm drain system itself may also need improvement. Our objectives really were to improve maintenance practices, not only through the neighborhood area, but also on the school grounds. We also want to educate folks in the area on proper fertilizer use and water use, because we know that nutrients are a contributing factor to algae as well. We wanted to implement an LID project at the high school around where the storm drain inlet is. And then we also just want to increase overall storm drain awareness, so that people know that what goes into those drains ultimately ends up in the East Fork of the Carson River. So to orient you a little bit more, we've got these drop inlets here, these graded functions that are in the streets and the parking lot of the high school and also near the field. And those end up discharging to this water main gate. And then if you turn around from where it discharges, that's where the algae bloom is in the river. So we feel there must be some sort of connection between those two. We also have spent time marking the storm drains with the students so that people in the neighborhood will also be aware. And also we marked the drains in the school grounds as well to help increase student awareness as well. The first task in the grant was, and it's a 319 grant through the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, and task 1 was really talking about the maintenance, management, and implementation. And so with this, we involved Douglas County, but also the town of Minden, since this is within their jurisdiction as far as the storm drain system and the road maintenance. River Wranglers has been our partner for education, the high school and their grounds maintenance staff as well. We also spoke with the town of Gardnerville. They're not directly related to this particular issue, However, they face the same maintenance challenges as the town of Minden. And then we also included the Carson Water Subconservancy District. And this was more of just to increase overall awareness of the storm drain maintenance of the system, and also fertilizer use for school grounds and all the fields, baseball fields and football fields that they're managing over there. The second task is the one that I'd like to focus on for this presentation, and this is our low impact development planning and implementation project. So the picture to the left of this screen is the drop inlet to the main system that discharges through the neighborhood and then ultimately through the river. And you can see it was just a large area with bare soil surrounding it, no sort of filter off of any of the school grounds before it would get put into the storm drain system. And so the goal of this project, as you'll see the very finished product on the right, was to install a low impact development project to help filter the stormwater before it goes into that grate. So I'm going to go through the progression of how we involve the students and the ultimate installation of the project. There was a few different classes that we selected to involve in this project. One of them being the AutoCAD drafting class, and this class specifically uses AutoCAD to draw plans. So they created some plans that showed a bird's eye view and also a profile view of the low impact development project. The kids really got to take the lead on how to design it, what types of materials to use, how deep the excavation would be. I had provided them with a few engineered site plans for examples on how we were really looking at creating the plan set so that we could easily install it and that we would be able to interpret what they meant. We also involved the English class, and they created a community outreach letter that was distributed to the neighborhood residents nearby. They also have been working on some other writings, brochures, and some displays that will finish up this spring and will be placed around the campus. We have involved the environmental science class / chemistry to do some water quality sampling. We've been sampling since the beginning of the project in 2021, and we're still continuing to sample so that we can see the overall trend of phosphorus and nitrogen in the storm drain system. We've involved the geoscience students. They have been helping us out with soil amendments, some plant selection, and storm drain marking, and also the FFA, Future Farmers of America, for agriculture and the impacts of agriculture and also plant selection there as well. So there's been really great student involvement with a bunch of different classes directly related to the project, but also involving English so that the school actually knows about the project and what the purpose of it was. So to get to the implementation part, the first part where we started is we brought in our Vector truck. This is the Douglas County Stormwater Maintenance staff, and they started off the project by cleaning all of the drop inlets within the school so that we could start with a fresh slate for that. And that was provided by Douglas County as a match proponent to this grant. Secondly, we brought out our excavator out to the site, and you can see we had marked it all off with the design and we really tried to do some of the heavy lifting for the students. The ground's kind of compacted in this area because they drive over it frequently. The maintenance staff does, and so we wanted to do the excavation for the students to save time and also provide a match component to the grant. So as you can see here, we brought our staff out to do the excavation, and I'll just go through slide by slide to show you kind of how that process worked. So here you can see the excavation on the left, and then there was a remnant of an old storm drain that they basically buried. So it was good to kind of dig gingerly in that area because you never know what you're going to find in the ground. So after the area was excavated about 24 inches deep, we were able to place river rock around the outside as the initial filter for the stormwater. And then we placed some 1.5-inch drain rock in the portion where the plants were designed to go. So we placed all of the rock for the students as well, since that could be pretty labor intensive, and we wanted the project to be installed within a day, based on the scheduling of how we had the kids laid out with their classes. So here on the left is my staff speaking with the students. We wanted to involve them in a career discussion as well. I talked a bit about my degree in environmental science and kind of my path to how I came to work in the stormwater division for Douglas County. And then I had my maintenance staff kind of discuss their career paths, and how they got to where they are today and how much they enjoy their jobs, but also taking note that they didn't require a college degree for this job, for their jobs, but they do require a commercial driver's license and a certain skill set that can't necessarily be learned in a classroom. So it was a very interesting conversation with the students, and just kind of opening their eyes to real life job opportunities here in Douglas County. After we spoke to them about a bunch of different things, we put them to work. So you can see on the right, they wheelbarrowed over the soil and soil amendments and started filling that in to prep the area for planting. We also talked with them about our equipment, and you can see we let this young man hop into the excavator, and it's really cool to see kids feeling passionate about something that you brought out to them, and hopefully, maybe that inspired him to do a little more research into that field and equipment operations and things like that. You can see on the right that the students are still putting in more of the soil amendments and trying to get that closer to the grade of the existing soil surrounding it. In this next slide, we have the AutoCAD class here. They are placing the plants, trying to make it look aesthetically even, so that there weren't overcrowding the plants or anything like that. So we let them place them, and then after that, we worked on starting to plant them and going through the proper planting techniques and how you want to make sure the soil around it doesn't have a lot of air pockets and things like that. So proper planting techniques was an important part of this part of the project. I think the AutoCAD class got about half of the plants in. Their fifth period, so their class is only 55 minutes long, whereas the other classes, English and geoscience, are nearly 2 hours. So we broke the project into 2 separate days, and the AutoCAD class was able to come twice. So everybody got about the same amount of time in the field. So you can see them getting things ready to plant there, and then they also had some bark mulch that we placed on top. And with this many students participating in the project, it really was true that many hands make light work. So you can see here they're just about done. My staff had placed these wooden boards in between the soil area and the river rock cobble area, so that they wouldn't get too messy in between and keep them separated. So this is the very last step, is them on the right pulling out those boards once the project was fully installed. And then the very last step was they came in to clean out the entire drop inlet with our Vector truck. And the reason we wanted to do this at the very end of the project was so that if anything got in the grate during the project installation, such as dirt, bark, or anything else that the kids might have dropped in there, we wanted to just end off the project with a clean slate. So they were able to go in there after the students had left for the day and get that drop inlet cleaned. And I'm not exactly sure when the last time it was cleaned, so it was nice to have this project installed and then knowing that the grate is nice and clear. Particularly going into the winter that we just had, because who knows what that would have looked like if we didn't get this project in time. So that was basically the gist of the implementation project. We are going to be doing some follow-up maintenance and probably installing irrigation this spring with the students as well, just to make it last a little longer and have less burden on the school district maintenance staff. So task number 3 is the conservation landscaping workshop that we held with the Westwood neighborhood residents. And we held this back in June of 2021. And we really just wanted to educate the residents on fertilizer use and where the storm drain goes and how to promote, kind of conservation landscaping using less turf, more native plants, maybe more rock, using less water, etc. It was actually a really great workshop. It was very well attended. We even got a thank you letter at the end of it, which was really nice to see. And we did a plant raffle giveaway, which was really cool. And it was a really successful workshop. So much, in fact, that we would like to have a follow-up one that we're planning for June 1st, which will also be pretty useful, I think. And of course, my phone's ringing during this. So the neighborhood workshop, if anyone's interested in participating, will be June 1st of this year. And hopefully we'll get to gather some stories from the residents in regards to what they were able to take from the first workshop and apply to their property and what they've learned and kind of their journey. And I'm sure we'll get some new residents that didn't attend the first workshop as well. The 4th task is the water quality sampling, and as I said at the beginning, we have done that 3 times now with the students, and then we did it 1 time before the project even started. We're starting to see a slight decrease in the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus, but I think that we'll probably continue to sample for a few years to come to see if we can actually get some tangible change in the amount of nutrients that we're seeing in the storm drain system. You can see here in this slide, this is the geoscience class that came to participate in the water quality sampling. And we have another day scheduled with the geoscience class to do additional sampling on May 8th. So the next steps to this project are to work with the classes so that we can do some spring maintenance and cleanup and try to install some irrigation. We do still have funding left in the grant for materials, and so we would like to install a drip system and try to get that in so that the plants and everything will thrive for years to come. It's possible that we may do a follow-up project on another drain. There's a couple other drop inlets on the high school grounds that could use a similar project. We're going to continue to do the water quality sampling, another neighborhood workshop on June 1st, and we're also considering applying for future 319 funds to do a secondary phase of the project. It was very successful, and mainly that's in part by having a couple of teachers really engaged in the project and really excited about hands-on work. We couldn't do it, honestly, without the teachers being so excited to participate and so engaged. So that's been really a wonderful thing to have. And overall, it's been a really successful and fun project, and I think the kids are getting a lot out of it. So with that, I will take any questions, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present. My contact information is on this slide, so if anyone is interested in getting involved in the remainder of the project here, the grant ends at the end of June of this year. And then if anybody has any input or ideas or wants to participate in a future phase, I'm more than happy to hear ideas, and I welcome anyone who wants to join us. Thanks.